Hello and welcome to Client Management Training 1. My name is Richard Robertson and I'm here to teach you a little bit about, client management. As mentioned previously, this is the first in a line of 3 client management trainings that you will see in order to teach you how to work with a client and how to properly communicate with them. This is that one, how to properly communicate with a client. Let's begin and let's go over the first thing. We're going to be talking about etiquette, but what exactly is etiquette? Well, etiquette is a set of unwritten rules and of communication between people. It's in order to keep professional and polite conversation between two parties. So let's begin with email etiquette. This is the biggest one since a ton of professional communication happens inside of your email inbox. So the way I've set up is the do's and don'ts of email etiquette and examples of what to do and what not to do. Let's go over the do's. Here you see the examples. Have a clear subject line, professional salutation, proofread your message, replying to emails, and keep private material confidential. For example, have a clear subject line. This is really easy. This is a mistake that a ton of people make, including myself. Whenever you're chatting with a client or even with some other member of BA Locator or whatever company you're working for, right now it's BA Locator, but probably they will receive dozens, if not hundreds of emails a day. You have to sort them out. You have to work together and actually make your emails stand out. For example, you can just write, here's a file that you needed inside of the subject line, and it sounds like any clickbaity thing that a ton of things send you. Or, for example, you're going to specify what you actually attached, like T-Metry report July 15 attached. That's specific. That way, anyone can know that that's what you added there. And that's if someone is requesting that file, whenever they see that subject line, they'll be excited to know that they have it. Professional salutation. Again, this is a professional email setting. Not chatting with anyone else, just with a client or with the members of BA Locator. So starting an email with salutations like yo or hey or what's up are not really professional and it make you seem like an unprofessional person. Then I'm sure you are not. You can use, and I would recommend, dear blank, dear Ignacio, dear Richard, dear whoever it is, or hello all if you are replying to a couple of people. Proofreading your message. Again, another one of those unwritten rules. If you send an email and the email is full of texting or spelling mistakes, you're gonna seem like an illiterate folk. And I'm sure, again, that you're not. But if you send someone, hello all, I added the file that you needed, that doesn't sound really good, does it? Versus this way, hello, oh, I attached the files that you need. The same basic message is transmitted, but this way it sounds way more professional. Replying to all emails. I'm sure when you're working with a client or you're just inside of the Locator, you'll receive a ton of emails and they'll add you into a lot of email threads. Well, it's really recommended for you to reply to those threads, even if you're not involved directly in them. So anyone can see that you're actually on top of all the things that they're asking of you. You should have all emails read and replied instead of a ton of unread emails or emails read but without responses. Even if you think that they don't need a response, just you writing like received or something like that or something along those lines, that works. And that way you leave a good impression that you're on top of everything. Keeping private material confidential. For example, if you're replying to a ton of contacts and you are sending everyone the Instagram password, the private Instagram password that only a couple of people have, well, that's going to be an issue. There's going to be a leak of information. This is the least of the worries since they can just change it, but you get the idea. if there's some private material that you shouldn't share with any other coworkers or with any other members of the company, well, you shouldn't do that. Now, let's go to the don'ts. You shouldn't forget your signature, you shouldn't use humor, you shouldn't assume knowledge, you shouldn't shoot from the lip, or you shouldn't overuse exclamation points. Forgetting your signature, that's not a big of a deal as the other ones, but still it makes you look really professional. Inside of Gmail, there's an option to just adding your signature inside of every email that you send. So you don't have to worry about that. But for example, this email right here wouldn't be as complete if it didn't have this thing right at the bottom. It just looks way better. And I think we all agree that it makes you look professional, it shows you your position, and it shows you what you do. Using humor, one of the biggest things, while you're communicating through email, through any other messaging service using internet, a lot of the things that you might find funny, the other person can misinterpret as sarcasm or as just rudeness. So you should avoid them at all costs. Okay? Apart from that, you're talking with a client. You shouldn't use humor in the first place. So, for example, like this, a message, just doing a smirk about how much it took you to find the Instagram password, or just a rude remark at the end, that's not good. That's not good. That's not professional. It makes you look, again, unprofessional and rude. Again, assuming knowledge. For example, if you tell someone to log in to the Instagram and change the profile picture and bio by noon, let's say if you have a subordinate or you are asking someone to do that, without replying, well, you're assuming that they have access to the Instagram password. What if they don't? Even if they wanted to, they couldn't change the password. They couldn't access the Instagram and change the picture in the bio. They couldn't. And shooting from the lip. That's what happens when something makes you angry and you reply immediately. That's something, whenever something makes you angry, and in a professional setting, you should just take a minute, take a deep breath, take 5 minutes off, think over something else, and then reply. If not, you might see an email like this. Again, this is probably from a manager or from a CEO perspective, but it just seems rude. It's completely unnecessary since, again, the person didn't have access to the Instagram password in this setting. Again, don't shoot from the lip. It makes you seem unprofessional. It makes you seem rude. There are way better ways to handle things inside of the workspace. And you're overusing exclamation points. Like this is awful. It makes you seem like a giggly person, a giggly 13-year-old. In a workspace, you shouldn't seem like that. This is way overuse of the exclamation points. That just is distracting, moreover than anything else. So let's go over, after we took a look at the do's and don'ts of the email etiquette. Let's see the anatomy of a good email. It should contain short and to the point subject line, openers or salutations, the body of the email, and closings. For example, this is a short email about the same subject that we've been using as an example inside of this, about Instagram password. Let's say the subject line is Instagram password to Tim, just to Tim, since this is a delicate email. Hello Tim, I hope you're well. Here's the Instagram password you requested. Password. Let me know if you need anything else. Peter Parker. This is a subject line. You're just sending it to a single person since it's sensitive information. You're using a salutation, a professional salutation at that. Here's the body of the email. Here's the ending of the email. And of course, the the signature of the email. Everything that you need to do to create, if you are creating professional emails, they should look at least like this. This is just an example, but the way that this part of the space between the salutation and the body, and the space between that and the signature and the closings should be like that and should work like that. That's the way that inside of the workspace we're used to handling. Okay, so starting with instant message etiquette. Okay, let's take a look at the basics, at the basic ways how you can do professional WhatsApp or instant messaging in a professional way. So first things first, of course, you have to take into account the basic manners. You have to take into account the content of the messages, timing of the messages, and taking good care of what you say. What do I mean by this? Let's go over the first thing. Basic manners, of course, the same thing as when you are sending an email. You need to begin any WhatsApp message with a salutation. Even if you know that, even if you want to go straight to the point, you should at least say hello and the name of the person before you start questioning about, I don't know, the new Instagram project that you had. You have to do that first. Now let's go over the content of the messages. First things first. Group chats, we all suffer from the same thing. A ton of group chats that don't need to exist. Maybe you have a WhatsApp group with a family and another one without any other a particular member of the family. Well, the same thing happens in workspaces, and you have to limit that. If you are the one creating the group chats, you have to be mindful of what you're creating the group chat for, and afterwards deleting it, so you don't have any ghost towns left over in the WhatsApp group. Also, if you're added to a WhatsApp group chat specifically for a particular task, you should only focus on that task inside of the WhatsApp group. If you have to mention any other thing about any other project, you can message the people directly or use the general WhatsApp group that you should have. So let's go over jokes or memes. Same thing as like emails. You should use jokes or memes sparingly, if not at all. You shouldn't use any, because it can be misunderstood. It can be taken, even if you send a funny meme or a funny joke, people or your client might take it as sarcasm or even as rudeness. So try to avoid that. Same as memes, as well as emojis and recently stickers. Again, in the workspace, the usage of emojis and stickers should be kept to a minimum, if not at all. If you want to send someone inside of your workspace a funny meme or an emoji or whatever, you can use it while talking to them in the private messages, if you know and if you have the trust between you two to do that kind of thing. But with clients, you should avoid it at all costs. And lurking, of course, if you're in a group chat and about work and about a project you're working on, you should answer. Even if you should answer. If you're working on that project, you should give them an answer. You shouldn't just leave them on red and leave your client on red and start working on it. No, you should answer, hey, yeah, I'm gonna start working on this. So try to be proactive inside of your WhatsApp messages. Of course, if you're added into a group chat in which you have nothing to do with, you shouldn't just message, hey, that sucks, whatever. You should keep that to a minimum. But if it's something that you are working on, you should be mindful of that, and you should respond. Timing of messages. This goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyways. You should only message the clients during working hours. If you know your client is working 9 to 5, you should only message them from 9 to 5. Not on the weekends at all. You may be a workaholic. You may like to work at 3 a.m., but your client probably doesn't want to work at 3 a.m. So try to avoid that. Only try to message people during at the times that you know they're working. And if they're in a different time zone, keep that in mind as well. Just send them a message whenever you know they're working. Taking good care of what you say. Again, using offensive slurs or comments in a WhatsApp group or any group for that matter is not good, specifically in a work setting that might take you into, it might get you into trouble with the client, with BA locator as a whole. You should avoid it at all costs. If you have any particular personal views about anything, about politics, about religion, or about whatever, you should keep that away, as far away as possible from any workspaces and from any client that you're working on. Let's have a quick example of a professional WhatsApp conversation. First, it starts with a salutation and then an introduction, being polite and asking about the thing that you need. In this case, a document. Then the client should respond, share it with you, and you should answer, with a thank you or anything that works, like thanks or anything like that. But you should end it in that way, or regards or something like that. This is the structure that you should follow any and all times that you're messaging a client, at least on direct messages. Well, that covers the basics of professional WhatsApp messaging and email messaging. I think you should take this into account the next time that you're talking to a client. Take care.